Should you buy a house now or wait for a recession? This is the question that a lot of people are asking today. I will go through a few articles and information and my opinion at the end that I hope is going to help you to make an informed decision. So, the decision to buy a house is, of course, a major financial commitment and is often influenced by market conditions. So this question, if is now the time or not. So can you really time the market? Can you really know the exact best time to buy a house or not? This is a very difficult question. There's no one size fits all answer, of course, but there are several factors to consider. Predicting a recession, I think, is difficult, and timing the market, as I said, is very challenging. So the Irish market is currently in a period of growth, with prices increasingly steadily over the past few years. So there are, of course, concerns that the market could be overheating, but there are some analysts that are warning about potential housing bubble. But let's see really if that's the case. So we see that the forecast for the GDP growth in 2023 has been revised up to 4.9%. So, assuming that maybe it might be too optimistic and things might not turn out to be as good as this forecast, we can definitely already say that there's not going to be any recession this year, and there's no question about it. We then go to analyze this new record of number of people employed in Ireland rise to 2.57 million. So Ireland's labour market is tighter than ever as the number of people in employment rose to a record over 2 million and blah blah blah. So everybody who lives in Ireland know that there's vacancies all over the places, like restaurants, pubs, and they're struggling to find bus drivers. Even I saw an ad for train drivers, and pretty much any industry is struggling to find people. And I know that you will say, oh, there's been a few layoffs in IT, but look, I think that the reasons that these companies during COVID maybe hired too many people, because they were considering that this trend of COVID would continue for a few years. It didn't happen, so they overhired and now they're letting go people. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. Let's go and check the mortgage rates now in Ireland. So let's see what the average rates are. We can see a few here, about, let's say, 3, 4, 5%. So historically, this has been like kind of a still low interest rate for property. So I know we've been used to very low interest rates in Europe in the last while, but I remember not many years ago that these were really the rates that people were paying for mortgages. So I don't consider these rates still so bad that they can cause like a recession in the property market. I think that we all know that the interest rates will rise this year. That's already planned. They might go up a bit, but yeah, I think it still makes sense, at least for people who are renting to first-time buyers to buy the property. I'm not so sure about buy-to-let. I have my reservations on that. If the buy-to-let interest rates maybe are starting to be maybe 7, 8 or more percent, then yeah, I'm not sure you're really buying maybe at the top of the market as well. With we know the rent caps and all the rest. So it's for buy-to-let, I would say be more cautious. Of course, if you are considering buying a house, you need to consider your personal financial situation. So, do you have a stable job with a reliable income? Do you have enough savings for a down payment and closing costs? Can you afford the multi-mortgage payments? These are very crucial questions because regardless of the interest rates, if you're comfortable with that, and if that is usually much lower than the rent you're paying, and unless you're overstretching, I think that's still a good decision. Another factor, of course, that I said before is the interest rate. So can you afford the interest rates that go up maybe 2-3% more than what you pay now? Just stress test your situation and see if you can manage that. Of course, it's also worth considering your long-term plan. Do you plan on living in the house for a long time? It might not matter then as much if you buy during a recession or not, because over the long term, the housing prices tend to appreciate. So if you plan on holding on the house for a while, it might be worth buying now. Remember that inflation is still quite high. I think it's 7-8% now. I know materials have gone down, certain things have gone down, but still inflation is still quite high. I just wanted to show you here a forecast for the property market in 2023. So according to Lisney, the first start would be slow, but then it will be accelerating the second half. So they don't even think there's going to be a recession or there's going to be a drop in demand. Now, as I said in another video, my observation is that seems to be a lot of competition up to maybe the 400, 500k mark in Ireland, where more people can afford to buy and get a mortgage for that amount of money. But definitely a slowdown, I think, over the 500, 600 mark. I think that's where probably prices might even drop because there might not be that much demand, or because with rising interest rates it would be more difficult to get a mortgage, but I wouldn't be too worried about it. Now, in conclusion, the decision, of course, to buy a house in Ireland is a personal one and depends on many factors. And as I said, your financial situation, your long-term plans, and the market condition. So we can't really predict what the market is going to do, but what we can focus on is what we can control. So we can control our situation. We can come up with the worst case scenario for the repayments, potentially losing your job, potentially interest rate going really high, and see what you can do, see if that still makes sense to you. I'd say for most people, renting, as I said, it definitely makes sense to buy rather than keep renting. We know renting is very difficult now because there's very little properties, and rents are really, really high. At the same time, I wouldn't go crazy and stretch too much with a huge mortgage. So be reasonable, be realistic on that, and I think you will be okay to buy now rather than waiting for a possible recession that it might not even happen, or if it happens, could be maybe a few years down the line, and you might be still paying rent in the meantime, and not making much progress, maybe getting older. And I really don't think that you should be always worried about the recession. I know we're all being affected by the recent 2008 recession, and a lot of people have been scarred by that. But I don't think you need to be so pessimist that this is going to repeat. I don't really think that's that kind of recession is going to repeat. It's been probably once in a lifetime situation that most people will never experience in their lives. Thank you for watching this video. If you want to support this channel, please subscribe. Bye for now.